Sandra and I had planned a day trip today and had a few places we wanted to go and things we wanted to do. And we started out fairly early uh, and headed for our destination. I had a scheduled appointment with a business associate somewhere around 10:15, and wanted to be there on time. And then I knew that the area we were going into is a place where she has some cousins who live, and they always enjoy getting together for lunch. So I thought maybe if time allows, we'll have time to join them for a lunch today. So we're in the car and we're traveling along. Things are going fairly smooth, I think. And we get into one of those back roads out in the country type situations where I only know where I'm going because it's a shortcut. And, we've got just enough time to make the appointment, and I'm excited about that. And then I come around the curve, and out here on this road where I've never seen a sign like this before, there's a big sign that says the road is closed ahead. Detour to the left. I said to her, I don't know if the road's closed or not, but I can't take a chance. It says it is. And so I'm going to turn left here and take the detour. Never been on this road before, don't know where it's going, don't know where we'll end up, but let's follow the signs. So we turn left and we drive 3 or 4 miles, and we finally see another arrow saying take a right here for the detour. So we detour there and we go a few more miles, and we go then see another sign saying turn back to the right. Now I learned a long time ago that if you're going down a road and you turn left, make one left, if you'll go out however far you need to and make one right and 2 rights, and then when you come to a road, you can turn back to the left, you'll be on the same directional route that you would have been on otherwise. It may not be exactly the same road, but at least you're going the same direction. And so there we go, and we're out in the middle of the country, and we're kind of chuckling about it because I say, I don't know any of these. Where in the world is Rose Ridge? And I never heard of it before, but here we go. So we travel another few miles down the road, and sure enough, just in time, we arrive at the destination where I'm able to meet my associate and have some time there with them. Now, here's what my point. When our plans were interrupted with a detour sign, I became frustrated, somewhat confused because I didn't know where I was going in taking that detour. I had made the trip on this particular road that we were traveling on many times. It had never been closed before. I had no idea what they were going to cause me to do or where I'd have to go. But it brought back to my mind what we talked about a few days ago, and we talked about when our plans fail or don't come together the way we think they ought to, oftentimes we miss blessings because we get excited and confused and frustrated and discouraged and disappointed and angry. And I thought about all those emotions this morning as we were driving down these roads, not knowing really where we were going. But in the end, it worked out, didn't it? And I thought about what Paul said when he wrote to the Philippians in chapter 4, and he said, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. And I took a big deep breath when I thought about that verse, and I thought, if I had just been content. Now, I had prayed before we started the trip. Lord, your will be done. You direct us, you protect us, you get us where we need to go, and we'll thank you for it. And then when the detour came up, I got frustrated.
And I thought it was funny.
And she laughed, and that made me...
Because I thought, as many scenic tours as we have taken over our traveling years, why would you get frustrated that we were going to be a little late because of detours? And I thought, it's not that big a deal, sweetheart.
Well, but an appointment is an appointment, and you don't like to ever be late. I don't like to ever be late.
But you had set the appointment time in your mind.
Yes, in my mind. That's right. It was not in concrete.
Not with the people,
it was not
but in your mind.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so the point I want to make, if I may tonight, is that we all, I would say, have points and times in our lives where we get confused and frustrated and maybe disappointed or angry or especially excited because we don't know what the outcome's going to be. And yet, as I look back on it, never once has this occurred to me when things didn't work out in the long run. You know what I mean? We eventually get back home. We eventually have fruits of a good day. We've got a basket of just fresh picked ripe peaches on the table that we brought back with us from that little trip. And we had a great time, had a good meeting there, went on down to a restaurant not but a half hour or so from where we were, and met Sandra's two cousins for lunch. Had a wonderful time there. Then she and the girls went on to the peach house and to the ice cream, the berry patch for ice cream. And it turned out wonderful. Then we had a nice drive back home and everything's good. But it reminded me again, how many times do we let that unexpected turn or detour or roadblock or situation cause us to lose all the joy of what we're doing?
It's true.
And I got to admit, for a while I was that way today. Now, maybe you're the same way. Maybe you have those times when you are not as content as the Lord would have you to be. Listen to some of the verses that Sandra's found on contentment from the Bible, and I think they're very helpful for us.
The first one that you had quoted a while ago in Philippians 4:11 through 13. Now, not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content.
Mm-hmm.
Hebrews 13 says, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee.
Mm.
Listen to that again.
Isn't it amazing? I thought the Lord didn't know the detour route.
No, you were frustrated because it was changing what you had planned to do.
Mm.
Hebrews 13:5. Listen again. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he hath said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee.
Wow.
Meaning the Lord knows exactly
Why
where
is
we
that so
are.
important? You remember what Paul said to Timothy when he talked about godliness?
Mm-hmm.
1 Timothy 6.
But godliness with contentment is great gain.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the godliness is not in our actions and reactions, is it? Sometimes we tend to let the human side take over.
I wasn't talking personally
No, I'm not
about
talking
you,
personally.
but you might be talking personally about me right now.
If the shoe fits, you want to wear it?
Yeah, you got it. What I want to say is be careful.
Yeah.
Now, how about the one there? And we talked about the one in Matthew earlier, but how about Psalm 16?
Psalm 16, 8 through 11 says, I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved.
Now, I thought about two of those that you just read. God was with us on the detour, and he said he'd never leave us nor forsake us. We also had prayed and asked him to lead us in the way that we should go.
He did. We did.
But then we didn't have,
he did.
And he did, but we didn't have faith. I didn't have, personally, I didn't have faith at the time to think about that. All I was thinking about was the time wasn't going to be the same. I certainly wasn't going on the route I was familiar with, and how could that possibly work out for good?
But it did.
But it did, and then I go back to Romans 8:28, which we talk a lot about, for we know that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. Amen? Mm-hmm. We don't see it that way a lot of times, though.
No, we don't.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We just had I had that little thought on my mind. I knew Sandra could tell you how pitiful I acted, but at any rate,
It wasn't ugly, honey.
No. But it is amazing how many times in your day does something not go the way you think it should, and the thoughts and the actions that you have, just like the way I was today, cause us to miss the blessing that God has for us. I'm still remembering when we came by the field a little later, and you said, look at those beautiful deer.
Yeah.
And they, because of the rain that had been there and the flooding, which we found out later, it closed the road, they were out in the middle of the field enjoying the fact that the rain was going down, water was going down. Yeah. And, well, dear God was in control, wasn't he? Thank you for joining us tonight for encouragement. And I hope this video will help you as you go on. Maybe you share it with somebody else who has trouble accepting wherever they are and whatever's going on with contentment, even though God has told his children to do that. Well, have a good night. We hope to see you next time on Encouragement with the Johnsons.
Bye-bye.
Bye.